My name is Alex. I'm 29 years old. For many years, I lived a life that many people might call safe. I had a steady job in an office, a small but warm apartment, and a family that cared about me. I was not rich, but I had enough to pay my bills and live comfortably. But inside me, something was not right. I felt like I was living someone else's life, not my own. Since I was a child, I had a big dream. I wanted to create art that touched people's hearts. Painting, drawing, and designing made me feel alive in a way that no other thing could. But as I grew up, I learned that chasing a dream like that was risky. It did not pay well, and it was hard to succeed. So I chose the safe path. I got a good job, went to work every day, and followed what my family expected. But after 5 years, the feeling of not being myself grew stronger. Every morning I woke up with a heavy heart. I wanted to scream, to cry, to do something different, but I was scared. I was scared of failing, of losing my job, of disappointing my family. The fear held me back. One night, I stayed awake for a long time thinking. I realized something important. If I never try, I will never know what could have been. My dream was still inside me, waiting to be free. I told myself, Alex, you have to take the risk. You have to leave everything behind and follow your heart. It was not easy to say goodbye. I talked to my parents and my close friends. Some understood and said, go for it. Others were worried. What will you do if it doesn't work? They asked. I did not have answers, but I had hope. I quit my job. I packed my little apartment and left the city. I felt both scared and excited. The future was unknown, but it was mine. I was free. I found a small studio where I could paint every day. I worked hard every day from morning until night. I gave up parties, weekends with friends, and even simple comforts. My dream was all I had. Sometimes I missed my old life. I missed the safety, the routine, the certainty. But I knew I had to keep going. This was my chance. I believed that if I worked hard, I could make something beautiful, something important. I did not care about money or fame. I only cared about creating. That was the start of my journey. I left safety behind to chase my dream. I was young, hopeful, and brave. I did not know what was coming next, but I was ready to find out. In the early days of my new life, I felt a rush of excitement that I had never known before. Every morning, I woke up with a burning desire to create. My small studio was full of colors, brushes, and canvases, and I spent hours experimenting with new ideas. Sometimes I painted late into the night, losing myself in the world of shapes and feelings. I started sharing my work online. At first, only a few people saw it, but slowly my art began to catch attention. People liked my style and the emotions my paintings showed. I received messages from strangers telling me how my work touched them. It felt like a small miracle. For the first time, I thought maybe this dream could come true. I took part in a local art show. I was nervous, but I wanted to see how people reacted in person. The night of the show, I stood by my paintings, watching people look and talk. Some smiled, some even bought my art. I could hardly believe it. I was almost successful. I felt proud and alive. More opportunities came. A small gallery asked to show my work. An online shop wanted to sell my paintings. I felt like I was on the right path. I thought, this is it. My dream is real. The hard work, the loneliness, the fear, it was all worth it. But even with the small wins, the road was difficult. Money was tight. I could not afford many things. Some days I felt tired and unsure. I worried that my art was not good enough, that I was fooling myself. But I did not give up. I kept painting, kept believing. The near successes gave me hope and kept me going. I thought that with a little more time, a little more effort, I would reach my goal. I dreamed of having my own studio selling art all over the world and inspiring others. The future looked bright, and I was ready to chase it with all my heart. But sometimes the dream felt far away, like a light flickering in the dark. I knew that many artists tried and failed. I wondered if I would be one of them. Still, I held on to my hope tightly. It was the only thing that kept me moving forward. In those moments of hope and near success, I felt alive. I felt like I was becoming the person I was meant to be. The risk I took was beginning to show its meaning. Then everything began to fall apart. It started slowly at first. The gallery that promised to show my paintings suddenly changed their mind. They said they were focusing on other artists now. The online shop stopped ordering my work because sales were low. My small stream of income disappeared. At the same time, I faced unexpected costs. My rent went up and my supplies were expensive. Without steady money, I had to borrow from friends and family. I felt ashamed, but had no choice. I told myself, this is just a rough patch. Things will get better soon. But they didn't. One by one, the doors I had opened started closing. I missed deadlines, lost motivation, and struggled to create new art. The passion I once had began to fade under the weight of stress and disappointment. I was alone in my studio, surrounded by unfinished paintings and empty canvases. The excitement that had carried me now felt like a distant memory. I felt weak and broken. Financial worries grew heavier every day. I had no savings left. Bills piled up. I could not pay rent on time. I feared losing my home. My friends stopped calling and family stopped asking. I felt isolated. More than money, the pain of failure hurt me deep inside. I asked myself, was it a mistake to leave everything? Was I foolish to believe in my dream? Who am I if I am not a success? The emotional pain was crushing. I cried alone many nights, feeling lost and hopeless. My heart was full of regret. The future I imagined was gone. My dream was slipping away. Yet even in the darkness, a small voice inside me whispered, "Don't give up. You are more than your failures." But it was hard to hear. The loss was so real. This was the moment I hit rock bottom. I had given up everything to chase my dream. And now I had lost it all. The days after my fall were the darkest I have ever known. I felt empty and scared. It was like I was trapped in a deep hole with no way out. I stopped painting. I stopped talking to people. I stopped believing in myself. Every morning, I woke up with a heavy heart. I wondered if I had made a terrible mistake. Maybe I was never meant to follow my dream. Maybe I was just a failure. I was alone with my thoughts, and they were not kind. I blamed myself for everything. I thought about all the things I had lost: money, friends' respect, and even my own hope. I felt small and useless. Sometimes I wanted to give up completely. I thought it might be easier to go back to the safe life I left behind, but that felt impossible. I could not face my family and friends after what happened. I felt ashamed. One day, while sitting in my empty studio, I looked around and saw all the paintings I had started but never finished. They were quiet, waiting. It was then I realized something important. The art was still inside me, even if I could not see it right now. I slowly began to understand that failure was not the end. It was a part of the journey. I remembered stories of people who failed many times but kept going. Their courage inspired me. I started small. I picked up a brush and painted a simple picture. It was not perfect, but it was mine. I felt a tiny spark of hope. With time, I talked to old friends and family again. I shared my story honestly with all my mistakes and pain. Their kindness helped me heal. I learned that I was not alone and that it was okay to ask for help. I began to see that my value was not only in success or money, it was in my courage to try, in my passion, and in my willingness to rise again. I still had a long way to go, but I was ready to keep moving forward. Slowly, I started to rise again. I didn't become famous or rich overnight. I didn't find a perfect job or a big success. But I found something more important: hope and peace inside myself. I returned to my art not to chase fame or money, but because it made me feel alive and happy. I painted for me, not for others. I learned to enjoy small moments and simple joys. I began to understand that life is not about big successes or perfect plans. It's about trying, failing, learning, and growing. It's about being brave enough to follow your heart even when the road is hard. I found courage in my mistakes and strength in my pain. I learned to forgive myself and to keep moving forward step by step. If you learn one thing from my story, I hope it is this: you do not have to do big things to be important. You have value just as you are. Your dreams matter, but even more, your heart and your courage matter. Life is full of ups and downs, but every day is a new chance to start again. No matter what you have lost, no matter how many times you have failed, you can always rise. Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, your life has meaning, and you are never alone on your journey.